within a month than money. We're the majority of Arkansans.
We can't see you in the camera.
As hard as we work for our state and families, state policymakers and politicians, it's time to be Dallas. Who is Dallas? All of us.
If you're 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket, it will be tough. Benefits check out that around is a crowded website.
You said talking to the phone?
When you talk, it's best to look at it so that people will see you say something. But you know, sometimes we forget.
Yeah.
Y'all probably be sharing them like.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, it's a beautiful day, beautiful Thursday here on the corner of 21st and Main Street. Hey, you heard the music. It's time for the workplace here on KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. I hope you're having a great morning so far. Hey, we're going to have a great show this morning, and we have some special guests in studio. Yeah, and so we're going to get right into it. But first of all, I want to give my co-host, the Reverend Dr. Denise Donnell, an opportunity to greet you.
Grand Rising humans, I do have one announcement that I need to make. It is for our friend, our colleague, our advocate, our activist, Osiris Bali, who has been recently elected to the Little Rock School Board, who had a meeting the other day to let you know he is interested in engaging the entire community in conversations around what we can do with our public school system. He is having a birthday party on May 25th. That's this Sunday from 6 to 10 p.m. It's a $10 cover charge, but it's his birthday at Club Sway, 412 South Louisiana Street in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's going to be starring Cammie and B. Mac, Ken, Bookstar, Rennie, Cheesy, Red Lipstick, Perun, Gianni Olamide, Las Vegas, Chris, Big Said. It's a lot of people going on. It's a lot going on.
That's a birthday. That's a birthday.
So it's a big, more like birthday bash for Osiris Bali this Sunday, 6 o'clock, Club Sway on Louisiana Street. Hope to see you there.
And before I go any further, I want to give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves real briefly, and then we'll go ahead and get into the show.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Toney Gordon. I'm commander of Michael Van Johnson Jr., Post 74 out of Sherwood, Arkansas. And I'm also the state commander of the American Legion for the great state of Arkansas. And I'll turn it over to my wife, Pearl.
Yes, my name is Pearl Gordon, and I am the Department of Arkansas American Legion's president for 24-25, so state president this year.
And
Great to be here this morning.
And I've been trying to get both of them on my show for a while now. and one of the reasons is that this is historic. You know, there's been three couples who had had the roles or shared the roles of Arkansas Auxiliary President for the American Legion and Commander for the state of Arkansas for the American Legion. But they are the first Black couple to actually hold those roles. And never in the 105 years of the American Legion here in Arkansas that this is happening. And so it's so important, especially when you start talking about everything that they're trying to do. Then it may be some people in the state of Arkansas who may say, well, the only reason they got it is because of DEI, but I know it's because of the hard work they do.
Amen.
Yeah. And so I do want to just thank everyone for listening this morning, but I also want to thank everyone who are continuing to send your donations in, your pledges in, to make sure that KABF continues to be the voice of the people. We're going into our 41st year of being on the air. And,
that's fantastic.
yeah, and just to let you know, I've said this before, we're only, I used to say 12, but there's actually, we did the research because we are invested in some other radio stations. There are actually 14 100,000 watt, primarily community radio shows, nonprofit community radio shows, which means that we, in a lot of ways, are not tied in to what commercial radios do. So somebody asked me this week, with everything going on with the FCC, are we afraid of being attacked for the shows that we run, the music we play, and different things? He said no, because we get no federal funding, so they can't do they can't do nothing to us, and that's great because we can continue to have great discussions and conversations about different things. And one thing. First Ward Director Virgil Miller,
Black man politician.
He said that he was going to give a $500 donation to KABF. He did, and now his name is on the $500 donor plaque in the station. Ooh. So he spends a lot of time here at the station doing interviews on different shows. So I know he's going to walk in and he's going to see his name. And I know the first thing he's going to do is take a selfie beside his name. Wherever Virgil Miller goes, he will show up for your occasion and he will take a selfie to show that he was at your occasion. So let's go ahead and get started. Once again, Commander and President Gordon, great to have you on the show. First of all, I just want to ask you, Commander, tell the listening audience about the American Legion, why it's important, and what are some of the things that the American Legion is involved with.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. One of the reasons that we are active in the American Legion is because it was an organization founded to make sure that all Americans had an equal opportunity in organizations such as this to make a difference in the communities. The American Legion, our preamble starts out for God and country. Having said that, the American Legion was one of the first veteran service organizations that allowed people of color and women the opportunity to join the American Legion based off of their service. The American Legion allowed women and Black people before we were even eligible to vote. So that's why it's important for us to be active in the American Legion, because it has done a lot for not only Americans, but those minority veterans, to give them an opportunity to be successful in their communities. The American Legion was instrumental in establishing the Department of Veterans Affairs as a cabinet agency. The American Legion were primary authors of the GI Bill, which afforded people of color with the opportunity to get VA home loans to help their socioeconomic status, to help establish middle-class America in the United States. So that's why we are active in the American Legion. We want to ensure that because the American Legion is a part of these communities, that we can make our communities better by training the youth of our nation. Children and youth is one of our founding principles. Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, national security, and Americanism. We want the communities that we're involved in to know that we're visible, viable, and valuable. And that's why we like to make this a family-oriented organization, so we can help facilitate some of the things that our local communities, not just veterans, not just military, but every citizen of our community, we want to have an impact on those citizens.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that when people hear whether it's the American Legion, whether it's the BFW, they hear these organizations, and I think they primarily think it's all about veterans, but the American Legion wants to be involved in community. What are some of the community activities or community things that the American Legion is?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm most proud of is Arkansas Boys State and Arkansas Girls. But those are that help our children and youth get a better understanding of Arkansas government, national government. It is a tremendous program. I can't say enough about it. We have what's called the oratorical contest, where students get to learn about the United States Constitution and do speeches on those clauses in that Constitution. And they're eligible to win scholarships, for their service and, a participation in the oratorical contest. Boy Scouts, our Eagle Scouts are eligible to participate on a national stage, and they're eligible to win in upwards of $20,000 in scholarship money. So the American Legion is very instrumental in our children and youth by those programs. American Legion Baseball is another product of the American Legion. There have been many, many, many Hall of Fame baseball players that started out playing American Legion Baseball. So it's all about community involvement. And there is a political aspect of it too, is where, we get an opportunity to go to Congress every year and lobby for not only our state, but for nationally, so that people know what the American Legion stands for. It's not just, like you said, for veterans. It is for all U.S. citizens. We represent them all.
Okay.
Another activity that is done in the community is National Poppy Day, which happens to be tomorrow.
Yes.
It's always the Friday before Memorial Day. So if you're out in the community at some of the grocery stores and you see American Legion Auxiliary or the American Legion passing out poppies, they do accept donations. Those funds are used 100% for veterans, military and their families, and for the rehabilitation of our veterans, hospitalized veterans and such. So please do, if you see them, do say hi and know that poppy represents the sacrifices that our veterans made. Since World War I is when the poppy was adopted as the national flower, so by the American Legion. And it's in remembrance, of the sacrifices that were made by our veterans.
Here's a question that we have from the community. Do you have a platform for working with other veteran organizations? This is what Lo wants to know. Do you have a platform for working with other veteran organizations?
Yes, we do. The Arkansas Veterans Coalition is a conglomerate of veteran service organizations to include the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Disabled American Veterans, Military Order of the Purple Heart, all of those organizations where we come together for the common cause of serving our communities. Many of us veterans that are eligible to join the Veterans of Foreign Wars, such as I am also a member of the Disabled American Veterans. I'm a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. So yes, we all work together for the common good to have a greater impact on servicing our communities. So yes, that is an excellent question.
And just want to remind our listening audience, phone lines are open, 501-433-0088. That's 433-0088 if you have questions for our guests or just want to join the conversation. You know, when you're talking about Poppy Day, I have been in Europe, you know, when they're celebrated and to show the difference. In Europe, they take it very seriously. If you're a politician, and especially in England and France, and you're not wearing your poppy, they make it big news. You know, they will almost crucify you for not wearing your poppy. And so, but here it's not. The country as a whole does not take it on the serious enough to know about the sacrifices of a lot of veterans in their duty to make sure that this country remains free, this country remains sort of things. And so I think there's a lot of people are starting to not realize that now. And I think this is a great opportunity to let people know about why it's important to support the American Legion. Let's take this call real quick. Call you on that.
Good morning.
Can you turn your mic on me? Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Sister Denise, Brother Toney, Commander Gordon, those listening on the web and the radio. I want to first thank Commander Gordon for his leadership, if you will, in his service. I do know that the American Legion is the largest of our veteran organizations, and I don't want to downplay its importance because I think in addition to what it does for our veterans, it's so essential to our community development, making our communities a better place to live and work in, with boys and girls state being one of the greatest opportunities for young people to simulate legislative process through their participation each year. Some folks say they don't do as bad a job as legislators that we elect. Certainly can't do it in words, but they are very, very astute students. They're very, very patriotic students. And you'd probably be surprised who these young people are because for whatever reason, we don't hear enough about boys state and girls state in Arkansas, but nationally it is a tremendous program. And I just want to commend him for what he does, not only for our communities, but for the widows and orphans of veterans, for those veterans who are undergoing problems with their abilities to get compensation, if you will, for their service injuries and what have you, for the work that he does with the VA hospitals where our veterans receive some of the best hospital care in the world. And I just want to thank Commander Gordon for his leadership role. As a veteran, I want to appreciate him for that. And as a citizen, I would like to thank him. And I know they take donations because I used to work for him. And hopefully somebody will hear this and remember that they can donate to not only his organization, but to all of the veteran organizations that are here doing wonderful work. And thank you once again. And I want to shout out to all of our veterans and their family members for our sacrifices. And have a blessed day.
Okay, just let me ask the question, and then we have a question on here too. But if I'm not mistaken, Commander, you say your wife is the president, right, of the organization?
The American Legion Auxiliary. I'll let her share with that.
Oh, okay. So here is a question from the community. Many veterans are not aware of a VSO, a Veteran Service Officer. Can you elaborate the importance and some of the important duties of a VSO, a Veteran Service Officer?
I am a Veteran Service Officer at heart. However, I'm limited in some of the roles that I can play in that aspect, but providing the tools and services needed to help those claimants receive the disability benefits, whether they be the veteran or the family member of that veteran, it is very important to know a capable, competent, and committed veteran service officer to assist in those goals, because it is crucial for that claimant to have the best information available to be successful in their endeavors, because a lot of the claims pretty much are denied due to sheer not know-how. So the American Legion has service officers throughout the state that can assist, in the facilitation of submitting those claims. So that's what we do. That's our first pillar, is Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation. And that is where, we assist. The American Legion has attorneys on the national level, Bergman and Moore, that is free of charge to assist, those claimants in the promulgation of those claims. So I will say this, it is never good to pay someone to help you in the execution of your claim. Seek a qualified veteran service officer to assist in that process, because you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay. That's one of our main goals, not only with the American Legion, but the Veterans of Foreign Wars has service officers. The Disabled American Veterans has service officers. And even the Department of Veterans Affairs, if you go to public contact, they don't have veteran service officers, but they have people there that are trained to assist those claimants, in filing those claims, to help further their availability to receive those benefits. So that's an excellent question.
And first of all, I also want to congratulate both of you. 39 years of being married. That's an awesome achievement. Yes, yes. And so when you talk about the auxiliary, when we have our meetings, I know the auxiliary is over there. In fact, your meetings last longer than ours. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that you are doing. There's a lot of things that you're planning. Tell our listening audience about some of the events that you're doing that they can be a part of, like the Black and Gold Gala that they can be a part of.
Okay. So,
Blue and Gold, I'm sorry.
Blue and Gold. So, I will start with tomorrow. Tomorrow, again, like I said, is Poppy Day. And then Sunday, actually, we start Girls' Day for next week. All next 25th through the 30th is Girls' Day. That's going to be held in Searcy and at Harding University for the girls. At the same time, Boys' Day will be going on at UCA campus. So we're both going to be involved in that program this year. We're looking forward to that. But some of the other activities that we have, as you mentioned, the Blue and Gold Gala is held every second Saturday in December. And anyone can come out, and but you have to get your tickets. The tickets normally go on sale. I guess they'll go on sale this fall. Okay.
November 1st.
So November 1st, but it's a great event. We had a fantastic time last year, and each year we do. So we're looking forward to that as well. Lord willing, the upcoming December, we'll be planning for that in the next, I guess they'll start pretty soon here, next few months with the plans for that. However, again, I'm sure you can mention when the tickets go on sale.
I will.
Okay. So, but it is a great event where we just get together, kind of celebrate. We are a community of veterans and veterans family members helping veterans. So if you have a heart for service, the American Legion, and you're eligibility for the American Legion Auxiliary is to be the family member that is the spouse, and it can be the female spouse or the male spouse of the veteran, the daughter, sister, granddaughter, mother, grandmother of the veteran. So if there's a son, of course, there's the sons of the American Legion. That's a different family, a different part of the American Legion family. But there is a place for the sons as well.
And I'll add, Pearl is doing a tremendous job as the American Legion Auxiliary State President of the American Legion. It is just an extension of her serving with me for 22 years, and she's carried that into the American Legion family, which is the American Legion Auxiliary. And people often ask us, or they wonder, how did we get to be the state president and state commander of the American Legion family, it happened organically. It happened organically. It was nothing we set out to do, but it happened. And I think it happened for a reason. And because we want to instill a fortified family throughout the American Legion, not just our post and our unit, throughout the state. So we just want to continue to serve, as we said, we serve, for God and country. And she served with me for 22 years in the military. She, shortly after I joined the American Legion, joined the American Legion Auxiliary, and it's just continued since. This has been a journey for us. It's been an enjoyable journey, and we just want to continue to serve. And having said that, with us being a community service organization, I think we need to go back to Michael Van Johnson Jr. Post and Unit 74, and we need to get on that $500 donation board for KABF. And that just goes to show how Toney is a servant as well. He's never asked us for anything, but just being here and listening and seeing and knowing what you do, that's something we need to take a vote on and see if we can't be a community partner. Because just because we're in Sherwood doesn't mean we can't cross over into Little Rock and adopt some of the communities in Little Rock. And that just goes to show we need to start a post and a unit auxiliary and American Legion in Little Rock. So anybody interested in that, you need to reach out to us.
Okay, hold on just a minute. So how can they reach out to you if they're interested in starting that auxiliary in Little Rock?
I'll give my personal cell phone number out over the air.
Okay.
It is 501-772-0795.
Say it again.
501-772-0795.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say, before we have another question on here, I just want to say thank you, Black man, for praising your Black woman wife publicly. We do not do that enough. We do not hear it enough. And I just want to say, as a Black woman, thank you. I really appreciate that. Here's the question from the community. With the current attitude of erasure of African-American military history, what steps or programs are the American Legion carrying on? What steps or programs are the American Legion participating in to carry on the Black legacy in the military, i.e. the 6888th? Okay, here's the question again. With the current attitude of erasure of African-American military history, what steps or programs are the American Legion involved in to carry on the Black legacy in the military, i.e. the 6888th?
So just to clarify, because I know our listening audience probably know what the 6888 is. The 688 was the all-Black postal workers in Europe.
Yes.
Yeah, that they went into England and they cleaned up a mess where.
Right. Yeah.
They
With
want,
the mail.
Yeah, with
Yes.
the mail. They weren't getting them, getting their servicemen, weren't getting their mail. They cleaned it up. They got it together, and in fact, they were a distinguished unit. And now they're basically, they took it off the web. They took it off the Department of Defense web page, but I think they put it back, if I'm correct.
The American Legion is a grassroots organization, and we do everything by resolution. So what we can do from the state level is encourage our posts and units within the state of Arkansas to write resolutions to prohibit the erasure of such culture and history. And those resolutions, they start at the local level, then they go up to the state level. And from the state level, we can send that up to the national convention floor for those things to be voted on. And as the American Legion nationally adopts those programs, when we go to Washington, D.C. every year, that is one of the legislative issues that we can put on our agenda to urge our congressional delegates, to support the exposure of those type of events. So that's a great question. And I'm gonna, take that down so we can start to promote those things, to start the grassroots efforts, to get those things memorialized to where they can always be present for our people to see.
Okay, I want to just make sure that we tell the listening audience as well that this is not just an all Black division of the military. This was all Black and all female that was doing this work. And there is a movie that you can watch that's called the 688. You can find it it's streaming on Netflix. And it is produced and directed by Tyler Perry. And I tell y'all all the time, if y'all need somebody's password, I don't mind giving y'all my password so y'all don't have to pay for Netflix. But the 688 is a movie about this very portion that Lowe asked us to think about, the 6888. And that's that movie, the 6888.
Do you want to add any more to?
Well, I just wanted to speak on a couple of things that the auxiliary does in the community. One of the things we do is we have adopted, our unit Sherwood have adopted a school, Boone Park Elementary School in North Little Rock, and it is a school that we try to do things for the teachers, if it's serving breakfast or just making sure we remember them when it's Teachers Appreciation Week. Also, Purple Up. April is the month each year, April is the month of the military child, and there's a day called Purple Up, which is April 15th every year. And it's purple because all of the military colors mixed together, the red, the blue, the green makes purple. So it's called Purple Up Day. And it's just a day to remember the children and a month to remember the children of military, because they sacrifice the time with their parents. That's the sacrifice our children, military children make. Parents miss recitals, they miss baseball games, basketball games, and school special days, that children whose parents are not in the military may be there on those days, birthdays, so holidays, special days. So those are times that those children sacrifice. We try to make sure we remember them every April with with Month of the Military Child.
And tell them about where the American Legion Auxiliary is going to be for Puppet Day.
Oh, yes, we are going to be in North Little Rock and Indian Hills, Kroger's and Indian Hills tomorrow from around 8 to 2 in the afternoon.
And I know both you mentioned girls and boys Day, and so this year I'll be teaching a class at Boys Day, like I did last year, on activism and organizing. It's so important, especially during this time, that doing what's going on in this country, that activism is going to be so important, and that's one of the things that the American Legion does. Do whether it's resolutions, through talking to different members on the Foreign Affairs Committee, even the Defense Committees, and talking to them about what's going on with veterans, and talking about veteran services, and talking about health care for veterans, because there is an assault. There is an assault on the funding for veterans, and it needs to be addressed. And Commander, just want to ask you, in your role as the commander of the Arkansas State American Legion, when you are in talking to other district commanders, is that a topic that comes up? How do you try to facilitate making sure that these funds, making sure that these services are still being available and adequate for veterans?
Just like in most organizations, we have what's called a legislative committee and a legislative chair that is responsible for teaching, empowering, and activating the American Legion members throughout the state on such programs and such processes that, we have a grassroots link that we can go and sign up to for legislative issues, to where we get emails that let us know that when it's time for us to take action. And we have a very active legislative department, not only in the American Legion, through all the veteran service organizations, that we want to make sure that we are representing the American public well. And the legislative process is one of those. So we have a great education process. The American Legion, we in the state of Arkansas, we have what we call a Department of American Legion College, which teaches a myriad of things to help our American Legion members, not only the American Legion Auxiliary, the Sons of the American Legion, everybody is eligible, to attend those classes. We're having a department convention coming up in June, June 20th, June 19th, we're gonna have training. So we are always teaching and educating, because without that, our organizations falter and educate and mentor, membership is going to be improved, because we're making sure that all of our members are valuable. And again, the American Legion Auxiliary, I can't say enough, most successful posts throughout the American Legion has an American Legion Auxiliary. It has an American Legion Auxiliary. The auxiliary has a unique ability to hide the American Legion shortcomings, if I can say that. I'm not being critical, but there are just some things that we don't think about when it comes to planning and executing, where they come in and they fill in that gap. So American Legion and American Legion Auxiliary that works well together, they're going to be very successful in all of their endeavors. So we encourage.
And that is part of their auxiliary's mission, is to support the aims and accomplishments of the American Legion. That's why we exist. So we have to work well as a family.
And so now I want to talk about Michael Van Johnson Jr. post 74. And a lot of people here in Little Rock don't know that name, Michael Van Johnson Jr. or Jack Stevens, Jack
Evans.
Jack Evans. I don't know. I always want to say Jack Stevens, but Jack Evans.
Yeah.
And it's so important. These names are so important, especially in the Black community and especially within the American Legion. And so, Commander, can you just give our listening audience a brief history of not just Michael Van Johnson Jr., but also Jack Evans?
I have limited knowledge on Jack Evans, but I do know he was a major player in the evolution of North Little Rock and the surrounding communities, being an advocate for all citizens early on. I do know that. And the Jack Evans Senior Center, where we meet on the first Saturday of each month at 9:00, was named after him. So it's not, I think it was ordained by God for us to be meeting in that location, because Michael Van Johnson Jr. was a servant. He was the first Arkansan killed in the global war on terrorism. I want to say it was March 25th of 2003. He was a Navy corpsman. He was stationed out of San Diego, but he died on the battlefield in the performance of his duties, where he saved several lives on that battlefield and risked his life, for those that he saved. And that is why we named our post after Michael Van Johnson Jr. And we want to continue that servant-hearted attitude, because he was a tremendous Navy corpsman. And I can't say enough about him. So again, he was the first Arkansan that was killed in the global war on terrorism. And we're getting back, to recognizing Michael Van Johnson Jr. and all of our fallen heroes with the renewing of our, I'm losing, because it's touching to talk about Michael Van Johnson Jr., but our Fallen Heroes ceremony, we're getting back to recognizing all of the Arkansas fallen since the global war on terrorism, to recognize those family members that are still here, to show that the sacrifice of their family member, their service member, won't be forgotten. And we don't want Michael Van Johnson Jr. nor his family to ever be forgotten.
Here's another question. With housing being a cornerstone of my heart, this is low talking, and having met many veterans on the street, how does your organization fight through the cynicism of obtaining housing with zero down?
Again, that is a legislative grassroots effort. And for years, Michael Van Johnson Jr. Post and Unit 74 sponsored a golf tournament, for homeless veterans. COVID kind of put all of those kind of things on the back burner. But what we need to do as an organization and as a community is start making the programs and services of the American Legion available to all veterans, not only our homeless veterans, but we need to make sure that we have, events, that focus on that homeless population, to meet them where they are, have some stand downs, to help them. One of our posts throughout the state in Morrilton, they have a food bank, and they stopped calling it, they removed the stigma of the homeless veteran and the needy veteran, and they started calling it the, I can't remember the name, what is it, the Veterans Warrior Project or something of that nature, to take the stigma away from needing help. And that program is growing. So we want to help those few food insecurities and homeless insecurities. And one of the ways we do that is by helping veterans apply for and receive the veterans benefits that the veterans and their families are duly deserved. The American Legion also has organizational support, to help our veterans through financial assistance, temporary financial assistance. We have a national emergency fund for, different things like that. We have different scholarship programs, that are eligible, for, our veterans' family members. So we want to do a lot, but it takes us all, to promote the programs, services, and advocacy efforts of the American Legion. And we do that by increasing membership. So we need your support.
Okay. And one of the things, one of the things that I'm fortunate to do, because I have offices in several states, and so when I go to Texas, when I go to Louisiana, when I go to Mississippi, and I run into veterans and I talk to elected officials, I'm able to put information that I receive, because there's a lot of information that comes out of our American Legion meetings, a lot of information that I could share among multiple states, because at the end of the day, veterans, no matter where they are in this country, should have the adequate health care, should have the adequate housing, should have the adequate compensation, but more importantly, it should be because a lot of veterans don't know. Mm-hmm. They don't know what's there, and sometimes it's difficult, if you live in a rural area, where you don't have a local veterans hospital, and that's what a post, American Legion Post comes in. Even though you don't have that hospital, the administration, they can help you get there and get the information you need. The next question I want to ask both of you, and like I said at the beginning of the show, to me this is historic. Yeah, especially in Arkansas, it's historic. Did it? I remember when I came to your, I guess right after you got, both of you were elected, and we had the little gathering in Sherwood, and there was a moment. I forget who was speaking, but there was a moment I looked at both of you, and I think at that moment it hit you. That man, we're here, we're in this, we're in this, and have you taken the time to stop and process that? We are two Black people. One that graduated from McClellan, one graduated from Mills. Here we are.
She's a lion at heart.
Yeah.
A
comic and a lion, okay. But when did it set in that? We're doing something that's never been done before.
Mhm.
We are, no matter who comes behind us, we are the first. Have you taken time to breathe that in?
I guess not so much. I mean, you would be surprised though. You mentioned this happening in Arkansas. You'd be amazed at the hospitalities we receive in some of the ruralest, most tiniest little corners of the state. It's unbelievable. People are so welcoming to us and so excited to see us come in, and we get invitations all the time. Sometimes we don't make them all. We try to make as much as we can. We have traveled. I guess we should have kept up with the miles we put down because we've done a lot of traveling this year in the state of Arkansas and met so many people, so many of our members, and just in the community as well. And we really enjoyed it, and it truly has been a blessing. And we just ask the good Lord to continue to bless us with, health and strength and the wisdom to deal with people. So it's all just by the grace of God. It truly, truly is. And it's been a lot of work, but we truly have enjoyed this year. We really have. But as far as processing what you're saying, I guess maybe not. But it was just when he was elected, my election day was that Saturday, and the following day was his on that Sunday when he was elected. And it was just interesting how once he was announced as commander, they just stood up and applauded. And I thought, whoa, I was kind of taken aback a little bit just by how pleased they were with us. So it was really a blessing. This year has truly been it's been interesting. It's been a lot of fun. It's been hard work, but it's been a lot of fun.
We have tried not to focus so much on our color, because when we walk in a building, they're already see that. So what we've been focusing on is showing that we are united, and we wanted our organizational families to be united, because like in families, sometimes there's conflict. And I learned through sitting through Pearl's class when she was teaching on conflict, that conflict isn't always bad. Positive change can come out of conflict. And what I learned is how you manage the conflict is what determines whether it was good or bad. So thank you for that, President Pearl. So we learn from each other, and that's why one organization is not dominant over the other. We work together for a common goal.
Exactly.
And what you saw when we had that ceremony in June was my gratitude for the support that Michael Van Johnson Jr. Post and Unit 74, you all have supported us so much and have done so much. We could not do it without our local post family and unit family.
That's exactly right.
We could not do it. So that was my joy, is to seeing all of you, the sacrifices that you made for us, to show that you all were proud of us.
To put all of that together in just a couple of days. So that was amazing, and we truly appreciate that. And my theme this year, Tony, has been be mission minded. So I have bees, on things. I don't know if you ever seen me bring the bee in, but and that's because of what Commander Gordon just said. We know that we have differences. We don't agree on everything. There is going to be, you have an opinion, I have an opinion, but we have to respect what's the best thing for the department. What's the best thing, not just for the department, but for the community, for the organization, for the veteran. What's the best thing to do? And that's what we go with, regardless of whose idea it was. So we have to not get our feelings hurt if someone don't like our idea, but let's just go with what the majority decides to do. What's the best thing for the betterment of the community.
Let me see if I can jump in here, because I know Tony don't want me to talk today, but I want to ask you a question. I want to say something myself. I know you just said a few minutes ago that as Black people, as a Black couple heading these two organizations, that you don't want to really bring attention to your Blackness. But I just want to put out there and just challenge you to say that for me, your Blackness is very important part of you being in this position, because I believe that because of your experience as Black people, then you have a different perspective, you have a different outlook, you have a different insight that the other people in the room don't have, simply because they have not lived the life of a Black person, your particular life. And so I think that for me, it is important that you bring that Blackness into the space and sit with it and see and use it to help you figure out some things that otherwise would not be figured out, because that's what diversity does. Yeah. Diversity says we want to bring more into the room so that we can see more, so that we can be more, so that we can provide more, because we have different people with different voices in the space. So I just want to challenge you on that, just to offer the centering of Blackness when you are in those spaces.
Here's what we like to do. We like to do it and show it by our actions. Mm-hmm. We like to show it by our actions. When we go somewhere, people often ask, why are you all dressed up? Why do you all do what you do? It's because we want to represent our Black community well. We want them to know that we're well spoken. We want to know that them to know that we're educated. And we also want to empower our people, because let's face it, the American Legion, there are not many Black people in the American Legion. So when we go to these little communities and we go to different places, what we're doing is recruiting. So we want to go into those communities and represent. And a lot of times we get to see, well, we're glad you all are here. Well, we're glad to be here. So challenge accepted, because it's not over.
It's not just, if I may add, it's not just, we're Christians. We're Christians first.
Yes.
We're Christians that happen to be Black people. So I identify first as a Christian. And of course, we cannot ignore our color. We know that, and we know it's seen. Of course it is. And we do believe in unity and that everyone should be treated equally. We definitely believe in that. But no, it's not something that, we really kind of force down anyone. Try to force upon someone. They can see what color we are. And that's why we don't necessarily push the color issue so much, because everyone like I said, they can see what color we are. And so, but as a Christian, I identify with anyone and I try to treat everyone fairly, regardless of what color they are. I do try to treat people the same. Yes, I have lived in this skin for, 50 plus years. So I don't try to deny that or try to step away from that or anything like that. But it's not the first thing I want you to see about me or know about me is, that that I'm a Black woman. I am a Black woman. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, but my understanding, just from sitting here listening to the conversation, is that the people that you are serving are not necessarily the people that are in the room. Because when you called out, Commander, you were like, well, we want to make sure that we're working with all veterans. We want to make sure that we're working with not just the homeless. We want to talk about the disabled veterans. We want to talk about all of these people. All of those people are not in the room. So those people don't know that you're Black. Those people are not looking at you and saying that. And so you have to be a voice for those people as well. And if you're not bringing into the conversation diversity through race, then how are you best serving those people that are not in the room? So again, I issue the challenge, because it's not for me. And for me, being Black is not about what you have on. It's not about whether or not you are a Christian. It's not about whether or not you are articulate. It's about serving the people that need to be serviced, and you're in a position to do that. And Blackness plays a role, especially in Arkansas, where we are still living under the trauma of racism.
I'll share this with you. And we didn't do this by accident, but like I said, we go to places that don't normally get visited. To make sure, to make sure that our Black communities are represented. Now, because the American Legion, is inclusive, we recruit everyone, but by us showing up and being the leaders of the state, it has empowered a lot of other members that look like us to step forward and want to be represented as well. A lot of people now, they're seeing that a Black couple can serve together and have fun together and love each other, and that be demonstrated. So that's what we want to do, is we want to empower by action. We do understand and we do recognize the importance of this event. We've grasped it. We've hung on to it. But like I said, it's not over.
Yeah, and Lowe says this, and you can take, it can be taken in many different ways. He says, but that is the first thing that people see, your Blackness.
Right.
They don't see that you are a Christian. They don't see anything other than the fact that you are Black. And for many of us, representation does matter. And so when we see you as Black, when we see you as a couple, that it does something to us. We're like, you're in this position, you're in this leadership position. We're like, oh my goodness, look. And especially for children, when you talk about girls' state and boys' state, especially for children who are growing up in a world that does not always represent them in the various spaces that we should be represented, to see you there as Black, that's what they're gonna feel, whether you feel it or not. That's what we're gonna feel. And so we just want to continue to offer that up for your consideration.
Now, don't get me wrong. Don't think that we don't embrace it, because we do, and we do know the importance of the positions, that we are in and the responsibility that we have to that. So we're both going to get an opportunity to speak at Boys State and Girls State, and we're going to challenge our Black youth to be great. We go out and we don't discriminate. But we do go out, when we go out and we recruit for Boys State and we recruit for Girls State, we want to make sure that we're represented as well. When we go out and we talk about the oratorical contest and things like that, we want to make sure our people are represented as well. So I have the fortunate opportunity to run for a second term as president of the state commander for the American Legion. And if successful in that endeavor, one of the things that I would like to focus on is promoting the programs and services of the American Legion to our Black public, so that we can all be on equal footing when it comes to getting these scholarships, when it comes to being in all these programs, the oratorical contests. We need to get back to promoting the programs. Baseball is a lost sport these days. So we need to get back to making sure that we have the coaching representation in American Legion baseball to attract people of color and people of minorities, so that they can be exposed to those things as well. So that's going to be my focus next year, is focusing on the programs of the American Legion to make sure we're represented as well.
Okay, well, thank you. We out of time. Thank you, Commander Gordon, for being here. Thank you, President Gordon, for being here. Like I said, we've been trying to get both of you on the air for about a year now. So we finally got it done.
We'd love to come back.
We're going to get you back. We're going to get you, I'm going to get you back to talk more, especially in the fall, getting close to the Blue and Gold Gala. Now remember, if you want more information about the American Legion, you want more information about the American Legion Auxiliary, if you want to know how to donate, you want to know how to become a member, if you're a veteran or the family member of a veteran, they can call
501-772-0795.
And for the auxiliaries, 501-374-5836.
Okay. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Want to thank everybody for sending your questions in through the social media and for the telephone calls. So continue to listen to KABF, and we'll see you later. Peace out.